Meet Bob Ivory. He is a musician, author, and education consultant. He has many stories to share and music to sing. He is an author of the inspirational book, What God Has Done. He is a seasoned songwriter and keyboardist with 2 solo released projects. He is another example of it's not too late to work on a dream. Check out Bob tomorrow as he appears as a guest on my show, I Need a Session. Tune in at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Use the link below to get to the show. Hi, happy Thursday. I'm Kim Wilson, your host. I have a very special guest in the studio with me tonight. We are live. I have Mr. Bob Ivory.
Good evening.
Hi,
Good
Bob.
evening. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Bob?
All is well. I am doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. Oh, I know this is going to be an amazing show because you have so many stories. You are a musician, you are an author, you are an education consultant. It's like, where do we start?
I appreciate it.
Yeah. Let's start with the music piece first because, I don't like to waste any time. The show that I did last week was titled It's Not Too Late.
Okay.
And a lot of times we forget that at any age, at any stage in our life, we can work on a project, a dream. As long as we have a heartbeat, we can do that. And what I
Yes.
love about your story, you've done so many great things. You did great things in your 20s, but you did a lot of major things that people don't always do, after they turn 40. So let's just even start with the music piece. Like being a musician, you have albums and CDs. When you were in your 20s, did you think about putting out an album?
I actually did not. To be honest, my dream then, meaning like in my 20s, was to be honest, I just wanted to be the next baby face. I just wanted to write songs for everybody and publish songs and place music and soundtracks. I never visualized myself, in out front, let alone releasing solo albums or singles and so forth. I just wanted to I love music. I love writing music, and I love to hear other people sing my songs. And it was just recently that I took one of my songs to a friend of mine. They was like, they should be playing this on the radio, and they knew the program director of then was the jazz station here in Cleveland, where I live, and he played it, and the rest was history. I've had 4 charted songs since then.
Well, usually we will try to get the person, the musician song on, but I've had issues with copyright in the past. But let me tell you all, you can see Bob's latest video when we cuddle on YouTube. The only thing you have to type in is Bob Ivory, and I'm going to put the link in the show notes when we're done. You have to check
Okay.
out the CD. Yes. So Bob, so your friends say, "Hey,
Yeah.
we got to get this in somebody's hands," and so next thing you know, you're on the charts. What did that feel like?
It was just it was overwhelming. It was humbling because, like I said, I never viewed myself that way as I knew I could carry a tune because as a songwriter, you know how to project your own material for someone else to sing. But when I, began recording it myself and doing all the arranging and the backgrounds and the leads, and I was like, okay, it's not bad. But to take it to a actual radio station and a program director, and he listened to quite a few songs and actually selected a few and say, hey, I could run with any one of these. And then one project led to the next. And I guess that was just me. I guess the epitome of is really never too late. And I appreciate you referencing my 40s. And I am very proud to say I am over the midpoint way in my 50s. So it's clearly never too late on real.
Man,
Yeah.
I love it. So, Bob, were there any messages in your head or any doubt when your friend said, "Hey, let's get this on"? Were you thinking, I don't know. Was that doubt there?
There was some hesitancy because um, I didn't know where that would lead. I'm also a person that, and this is comes from years where rejection is not something that I take well. Sometimes I get real, down on myself, and that's a part of my story too. Maybe we'll talk about that a little later. But I'm really, I like to be reassured that I'm gonna be okay and that I'm gonna be received. So sometimes that makes you kind of hesitant to taking that leap of faith and leaping forward. So yeah, that did cross my mind. Like, what if he, I worked up all this energy to be confident enough to present it. What if he don't like it? And what if he's like, oh, that's nice, and then that's the end of it? So yeah, I did pause for a minute before I went to the station.
Yeah. Okay, so the music piece, this show is called I Need a Session because I believe every human being has a story that is connected to the growth, the transformation, the change, the healing of another human being. At any given time, we have 100 stories inside of us. Not only are you a musician, then you had the nerve to become an author.
Oh, you have my book. Oh,
Oh, yes,
wow.
sir.
Bless
Yes,
you.
sir.
Bless you.
Yes, sir.
Bless
Yes,
you.
sir. And it is worth every cent.
Oh,
Bob.
thank you.
So Bob authored this book, What God Has Done. So, a friend of yours told you should start writing your thoughts down.
Yes.
And you started writing your thoughts down, and before you know it, you have a book. So, Bob, did you see yourself as an author? I mean, like, when did it click for you that I'm an author? I'm going to publish.
Yeah, I definitely didn't see that coming. I've written, creatively before, even as a youth. I believe it or not, I started out even before I got into music. I wrote poems as a kid. I mean, I was that guy in the cafeteria, writing a poem for, some little girl I liked. Next thing I know, I'm writing roses are red, violets are blue, the rest of the story. However, that began to evolve into storytelling. So I wrote poetry, but never compiled those thoughts into stories, and let alone with some kind of theme. But going through some, different challenges and some struggles, so to speak, throughout my life, I began to kind of jot them down. And the more I wrote, the more it compiled, as to say, well, wait a minute, this is more than just a few pages. Literally, I stopped where the book ends because I was really, I was going on and on and on. That book really could have been twice as long as it was. But pretty much that's just the message I felt I wanted to convey. And that's where what God has done came from.
So I like how you reference you do have several stories in here, and you do make it clear you're referencing certain experiences, and you want to use this book as a tool.
Yes.
And I just even in the first couple of pages, I identified tools like journaling, meditating, trust, and acceptance. One of your stories in here that you referenced, and I know this body of work is going to touch a lot of people. You share your story of being adopted. Um,
Yes.
and you found this out when you were a sophomore in college.
Yes. Yes. That was, you know, I can't even describe it. It was more like, it was more than a ton of bricks. It was just, to me, the weight of the world. It seemed like it just crashed down on me instantly. I didn't see it coming. And emotionally, I went through a number of stages and phases at that time. But it also began a longer journey to find out who I was. We all came from two. There was a mom and a dad somewhere in the picture, regardless of how it may have manifested itself after that. But you came from two sides of parents, which I had the knowledge of one of my maternal side and had no knowledge, no information, no leads, no nothing on my paternal side. So that began a long journey that through the grace of God, it was a happy ending. One, I found out about that part of my family, established some very strong relationships with siblings I didn't know I had, relatives I didn't know I had. So that was very rewarding. but it was a traumatic experience for me to learn, who I thought was my, parents was not, and who I thought I was, I wasn't. But all in all, God still glorified.
Now, and you write in the book, you talk about how it is a delicate subject because your story is connected to the story of other family members. So
Yes, it is.
know, so when you tell your story, you are conscious of that because everybody may not be where you are growth wise, emotionally, when you are transparent about your story. But I want to read something in the book, and because this is worth people getting. It's a conversation starter. Everybody. When we think about families, things that are not talked about openly, how do we broach that? How do we talk about that? Let me read. Go to this statement. All right. So you said, I realize that life is not always fair, but it seemed unfair to me that something as simple as wanting to know who I was and to whom I was connected still seemed to be too much to ask for or have answered. This doesn't suggest that I had no sense of self, but I did not feel complete since I did not know the other half of the whole story. um just even having that language, because when I was reading that part, what I got from that was like, listen, i I acknowledge that my maternal side of the family gave something special to me. I'm not dismissing that. Um but there's a part of me I just want to know. I don't I embrace that wholeheartedly.
Yeah, and the way you just framed it, wow, I don't think I've ever heard it framed that way. That was it emotionally, I'm feeling something even right now, just how you even framed that position. Um, Stevie Wonder have has a song that was out around that time. It was called Whereabouts, and the chorus or the hook of the song was "Where's the missing one?" And when that song came out, it felt as if it was written just for me and my situation. Clearly, it was not, but to personify or summarize what you just stated is at that time for me, it was all about where's the missing one. Not just my father, biological father, but whatever was connected with that was missing in me, and I could feel it. It was like I felt incomplete. And I know this story is not unique. There are children and young people everywhere that, in the same situation, for whatever reason, do not know or have the complete story of how they came to be. But to actually feel it, and as if it's like a barrier to keep you from, or some type of gulf between what truly is your destiny or what's destined for you. That's where I was. So until I found that missing one, or that missing part of me, I couldn't rest, and it was having some other effects on me emotionally, psychologically, and but yeah, that's exactly where I was at the time.
Yeah, I think this is a book too. Um, Even when we talk about family secrets, we don't always know how to break that open without feeling without feeling shame, guilt, stepping on somebody's toes. One of the you share a story too, how all of this kind of impacted you, even when you got married for the first time, and you are transparent. Even the vulnerability that you have in this book to say, yes, because I didn't understand the value of trust, I was not faithful in my marriage. And I just want to go to that statement because sometimes when we have broken relationships, when things don't work out, we can walk away with a lot of bad feelings. But when we kind of lean in to understand, like, this wasn't well because I wasn't well. And we don't
Right.
always have to walk away with, I hate you. It's like, you know what? We just couldn't do it because the broken behavior came from brokenness. Let me go there. Hold on, you all. Just hold on. Wait a minute. Let me get there. Um, All right. You know, hold on, wait. There we go. First, let me just do trust. The element of trust comprises a collage of characteristics, including openness, listening, and communication, and possessing a firm foundation, though it may present itself on its own merit without conditions. All right, that's that. Now let's go here. I speak from a myriad of experiences when I submit to you that I have not always understood, appreciated, valued, or honored being the recipient of someone's trust. I have regrettably and inexcusably stumbled and taken missteps in the area of trust throughout my lifetime as it relates to romantic relationships and marriage. For instance, in retrospect, there are so many things I would do differently if I knew what I know now, like how to be faithful in a marriage, how to love a wife like Christ loves the church, and how to be appreciative, humble, and honest about my feelings while respecting the feelings of others. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Go ahead, Bob.
Sometimes I have to step back like, wow, I actually wrote that. Um,
Yes, Bob.
but I wrote it from a place where, and I think the operative word, as you said, is to be transparent. And I don't think you cannot truly, I don't believe you can truly help deliver someone else unless you have first allowed yourself to be delivered. And that statement or that passage or even that chapter in that book could have been a number of other chapters that were in that book. And it is not a coincidence that I started the book. The first chapter was trust is a must, because that was me really saying, okay, you know what? If I'm going to do this, if I'm going to go there, if I'm going to put myself out there, I first have to be honest with myself. I have to, in a sense, take some full responsibility and accountability for. I'm not going to, for years I said, well, you know what? I got married. I was 21 years old and I wasn't ready and I didn't know this and I was too busy, this, that, and the other. That's no excuse. The bottom line is I did not appreciate and understand, what that the true meanings of those vows that I took. It took me years to even understand what they even meant, let alone be able to apply them and live by them. But definitely trust is, if not just trusting, it wasn't about trusting someone else. It was really about, kind of trusting yourself. And to me, trusting yourself is about being honest with yourself.
Trust is a must. So the session is in, okay? The session. Let me just go. Now, listen, ladies, men, we can love people all day long. Let me just go ahead and tell you, behavior will tell the story. Healing will be in the language. So the language that I'm hearing from you now, it is reflective of somebody who has experienced a shift. If you really want to figure out if they're ready to be in a relationship with you, if they're ready to rock and roll with you, just pay attention to the behavior, pay attention to the language. It's in there. Yeah.
Right.
One of the things too
Right.
that I like about this
Absolutely.
book, yeah, there are a lot of tools. It's a lot of tools loaded in here. I just want to go to journaling, just writing your thoughts down, because whenever we express our feelings, we share our feelings, we move those feelings through us so they don't get stuck inside of us. And even journaling is a way to move those feelings. And even being able to turn back just a year ago to see where you were, either if there's been some growth or if there's been some decline, the documentation is there. That's why I think journaling is a really great tool. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think it's also as I work with young people, um, in school settings, um, I don't think, regardless of where technology goes, where it is, what nuances are out there, there is nothing that will ever replace writing your thoughts down. There is nothing that will replace being able to, describe how you feel and articulate it, and just to put it on paper. Because sometimes by putting it on paper, that is pretty much you seeing back, or you speaking back to yourself, because you can actually then read back what you actually wrote, or what you actually, documented, or journaled. So that is a form that I think, needs to be revisited in not only just education, but just in just human communication. Is that sometimes you just got to write it down and look back at it, and see how it speaks back to you.
Yeah. So, taking a turn a little bit,
Hmm.
it's not too late. So, from what I understand, Bob, you even did something else after the age of 40. You pledged a fraternity.
Oh, gosh, you really going there.
Bob, take me there, Bob. Take me to the fraternity.
All right. I am going to take you very gingerly to my journey.
Gingerly,
First
yes.
of all, rude to all the bros. Oh, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated. And yes, that is also a journey that I did not, seek, for lack of a better word, until I was 52 years old at the graduate chapter level here in Cleveland at Zeta Omega. And it's probably one of the, best decisions that I've made in my life, was to, enter into that brotherhood, because there are, brothers that I have, met, and friends that I have that, outside of that process, I know I would not have, especially to that level. So, yes, I definitely, again, would probably be the epitome of it. It is never too late to, fulfill something that you are being called, led, and, filled purpose to do. And becoming a member of that great organization is definitely something I felt was, purposeful for me.
Yeah, did you what was the feedback, or did people know? What was it? You just kind of came out one day with a purple and gold jacket and people were like, Bob, you made the announcement. Did anybody know you were going through this? Anybody know Bob?
Um, well, there were those that knew that I was interested in, and how I express interest. And then obviously, throughout the membership process, people would know that, I was seeking Omega Psi Phi. And yeah, I'm pretty sure there were some surprises, not only because of the me seeking it at the age that I did, which is not necessarily uncommon, but I think because I had so many other pathways that I was involved in professionally, and I just think, yeah, that might have, caught a few people off guard. But I think now that it's, my fourth year in the fold, I think people see, like, okay, that's Bob Ivory, and he's an Omega man.
Oh, Bob, I love it. A lot of times people, we just won't get to the next step because we're so concerned about what people are thinking. That is such a roadblock for so
That's
many people. When we
it
can just
is.
get away and disconnect from what people are thinking and really focus on what we believe, what our belief system is, wow, we can take some giant steps. And I love the fact that you were just able to disconnect what people think you should be doing, uh,
Right.
and just
Right.
do it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely. Well, that part I've been doing for a while. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's uh, probably some elementary school teachers, junior high school teachers somewhere will say, yeah, he will definitely, you know, kind of move to his own tune and beat to his own drum. So that, I think, may be a part of my character, that I am not easily, swayed, strayed, or, distracted by what others, may think or feel, um, good, bad, or indifferent. But I am definitely, when I have, made my mind up to focus in a certain area, it's not easy for me to to be distracted otherwise.
Yeah, Bob, talk to me about the education consultant piece. I know you do a lot of work with the youth. Talk to me about what your role is with the youth. What do you do?
Yeah, yes. Here in Cuyahoga County, which is the county in Greater Cleveland, I direct an initiative. It's called Students of Promise. It is a closing the achievement gap model. In essence, our focus is to help primarily students of color, middle and high school students, reach their full potential academically, socially, and emotionally. And we do that in a number of ways. I'm in 5 school districts, and we work with students and helping to bolster their academics and achievement. We provide them with mentors. We provide them with opportunities that expose them um, uh, to college and career readiness. We deal with families, so it's a myriad of social emotional learning strategies, and I'm very passionate about it. I was in the governor's office here in Ohio back in the late 2000s, where the model originated, and then due to shifts in government and priorities in our state, the original model kind of went some other directions, and so I took it and ultimately made it my own, and have been doing so ever since in districts throughout the greater Cleveland area and across the country. I lived in San Francisco for 3 years and had the privilege of taking it there. And that's where I am now here in a resort with my team for professional development, a few days to build strategies for the school year, and hopefully to, set a model that other school systems and learning communities across the country can follow to help close the achievement gap, which I believe is a modern civil rights movement, is the achievement gap.
Oh, I love it. Um, Bob, I got to have you on again. Bob is so gracious. He's in the middle of a retreat and he stopped to come on with me. So he's, I
Mhm.
appreciate that. I got to have you on again, in your
I love to.
studio and do some of your music for us. Yes, I will have the details. Tell people where they can find your music, order your
Mhm.
book.
Yes, thank you for the opportunity. Yes, I you can find me on all digital platforms. My music is on iTunes, Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Amazon. So any digital platform you put Bob Ivory in, and you will definitely, get your share of Bob Ivory music, smooth jazz, and R&B. I can be followed on social media, on Facebook, on Instagram. Bob Ivory Music. Um, and I hope that you get an opportunity to experience my sound and hear some of the stories that I've written in my music.
Thank you so much. Guys, I want you to know if you were commenting and chatting, I can't see your chats tonight. We are live. Bob, thank you so much. You could have been
Thank
anywhere in
you.
this. Yes, thank you. Just a special note, I want to dedicate this show to one of my close friends who transitioned and left this world on Tuesday, Antoinette Tony Stith, a 20-year friendship. She meant a lot to me. And yes, she was a light that shined so brightly in this world, but she's gone home now. And I'm thankful that God gave me her for over 20 years. Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right. We'll see you all next week, next Thursday, 8 p.m. All right. Hit it.